And I'm back, folks. Thank you so much for joining me in the kitchen today, fresh off of the deer hunt that we did in the last video. If you didn't check that out, please go back and take a look. Got some good footage on that. So we're going to take some of the meat today that we harvested during the hunt, and we're going to make some jerky out of it. Okay, so I got some marinade going. I'm getting ready to show you the ingredients we put in that, because we got to let that marinate overnight for 24 hours in the fridge. So that's going to be the first step, alright? And I'm going to smoke this jerky outside on my offset smoker with hickory and cherry wood. I'm excited. I think it's going to turn out really good, so I'm going to bring you guys along for the ride, and hopefully we get a good result. So stick with me and I'll show you what we got for the marinade. Okay, so the marinade will include 4 cups of cold water, 3 tablespoons of Morton Tender Quick meat cure, and we have Worcestershire sauce, which is going to be 2 tablespoons. We're also going to add 1 tablespoon of soy sauce, 1 tablespoon of freshly ground black pepper, and it's going to be ½ a teaspoon of the Tabasco sauce. And I did not measure the crushed red pepper. I just kind of sprinkled a little bit in with the black pepper and eyed it up. So mix all that stuff into a large mixing bowl. So we have all of our ingredients in a large mixing bowl, and you're going to want to stir that to allow the salt to dissolve in there. And it's already been sitting here for quite a few minutes, so it's ready, but you might want to leave it sit for a few minutes, like I said, to let that salt dissolve. Alright, so I took all those ingredients, mixed it in a large bowl, and you're going to want to take a fork, get the salt stirred in really well, make sure it dissolves, and then you're going to want to take your 2 pounds of sliced jerky meat into the marinade. And make sure it's all submerged. Okay, so we got everything in. Now it needs to be refrigerated for 24 hours after we cover it. Alright, so we got our meat marinating. We got it covered. And I would highly suggest every 3 or 4 hours or so you get in there and you agitate the bowl, or maybe take the cover off and stir it, because you're going to want to make sure everything stays mixed and consistent. Right? So we'll put it in the fridge, we'll come back tomorrow, and we'll be ready for some smoking. Let's do it. Alright guys, so it's been 36 hours or so. We've been marinating the jerky meat. It's about time to get the smoker fired up, get it to temperature. We're going to go ahead and put the meat on the offset smoker like I mentioned before. And now it's time we need to process some small killing wood just to get the fire started. And we'll be ready to go from there. So let's get some wood processed. Alright, so to smoke, I'm going to be using hickory chunks here. But just to establish a fire and get coals going, I'm just going to process chunks this size down to as small as I can get it. Not really sure what kind of wood this is, but it works really good to start fires, because you see little pieces like this come off, and that's perfect. It's about what I'm looking for. Alright, so I got a bunch of these, and I might even break these up little bit smaller, and we should be ready to go. Well, it surely isn't the best fire I've ever started, but it's a fire nonetheless. So we'll let that burn down for a few minutes. We'll start adding some bigger pieces. We're aiming for about 160, between 160 and 180 degrees for the whole process. And it's pretty important that we keep it that low, because we're making jerky here. We're not grilling meat, so we want to keep it low temperature. Alright, so we're going to establish a coal bed, maybe burn that down for a half hour or so, and then we'll come back when we're ready to add the meat. Okay, so now that we got a sizable fire to work with, I went ahead and split some cherry up. That stuff burns low and it will give us prolonged coals. Alright, that stuff that I just used to start the fire with, that's just what I get it going with. This good cherry here is going to give us a prolonged fire, and then we'll go ahead and go into our hickory chunks. Probably right when we add the meat. I'll probably put some chunks in there at the start and maybe towards the end, because I don't want to get too strong with the hickory. Might overdo it for the first try. It's the first time I've ever attempted this, so I don't want to overdo it. Alright, so we'll give that a few minutes, let that cherry burn down. And I got my thermometer set up. I don't know if you can see it, but it's currently at 96. I don't have the box shut down, obviously, so we'll shut that down here in a few minutes, and hopefully it'll climb up. Once we get up to temp, we'll come back, and we'll be probably ready to put some jerky on. Okay, we got about 175 degrees. I'm going to open it up real quick, and I've already went ahead and oiled the top grate. Let's see if you can see that. Yeah. Already oiled the top grates, but I'll do it again. Just using canola oil. That looks pretty good. Alright, so we're going to go ahead piece by piece. Look. So we'll go ahead and put all these strips on, and we'll come back when we get them on. We'll show you what we look like. Alright, so we got all the jerky in. What I'm going to do now is try to take some of that seasoning on the bottom and just get it spread around. Some of that pepper seasoning, some of the marinade. That'll give it some flavor. Alright, so that's about it. We'll close it down. It's probably about time to add some hickory. So we'll go ahead and do that now. Let's close it down. Okay, you can see we don't got much in there. So I'm just going to go with one small hunk really quick just to see what that does, because the hickory will flare up really fast. It'll burn really hot. So that's just an experiment piece. So I'll see what that does, and we'll try to keep our temperature to where we need it to be. So I'll let that catch. You know what, maybe we'll actually go ahead and add another block. I can always take it out of there if I need to, or just open the door. But I didn't soak any of this wood, which might have been better, but so I'm just gonna try it, go small, and I'll always keep the door open. I can always open the door. You know, there's many things you can do to control your fire. So we'll just stay here, keep an eye on it for a few minutes, and see what our temperature does. Right now we're at exactly 100 degrees, so once that wood catches, we'll see what it does. Alright, so we're currently at 164, and I actually added another a medium-sized chunk of hickory, so I got 3 chunks in there total, and I found out that I can manage the temperature. That's the size of the fire I got, and I found out I can manage the temperature just by keeping this door open and closed as I need it. So it's working out pretty good. Just you got to keep a close eye on it. You don't want to overdo it. You don't want to get too much heat. It looks like we got a little bit too much going on there now. So I can just take my tongs, maybe move my fire back a little bit and see if that'll help me. And if I have to, worst case scenario, I can always open the chamber door and it'll kill everything. So it's just keeping an eye on it. It's just maintenance. You got to stand down here and watch it. So we're going to be out here for a while. I'm expecting the next 4 to 6 hours probably to meet where we need it to be. And yep, we're still right where we need to be at 161. So like I said, I can manage the fire just by opening and closing the door. That's what I'm planning on doing. Just going, you know, maybe 1-2 pieces of hickory at a time. Mixed in with some cherry to keep my coals. Hickory doesn't really give you good coals. As you can see, it flares up really good. It gives you good heat, good flavor, but it doesn't establish prolonged fire. So that's what we're going to be using the cherry for. So we'll give it a couple hours, and I'm just going to sit here and maintain heat, and then we'll come back. So let's open it up and see what we got. Like I said, it hasn't been quite 2 hours. And it's definitely starting to get there. Yeah, it's definitely still moist. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and keep it upside down. I'm going to go a couple more hours and then maybe flip it. So we're coming along pretty good. So I'm going to close it down. I just wanted to show you what we're looking like 2 hours in. And we definitely got a ways to go. So we'll check back in. Alright, so we're just crossing 2 hours, and I just put some more wood in there. We'll go ahead and check on the jerky, see what it looks like. I know we don't have good light, but it's coming along pretty well. As you can see, everything's starting to dry out really good. Like I said, I know we got poor light, but so far so good. Some of these pieces over here are getting really dry. Actually, I'll probably go ahead and move some of these down. Looks like some of these are getting too brittle. So we'll rearrange them and maybe let them go a couple more hours and then come back. Alright, so we are 6 hours in, and let's give it a look. It's looking good so far. Can't really tell. I have to put the light down, and actually it looks like it can go a little bit longer. It doesn't look like the bigger pieces are all the way dehydrated, so I guess we'll have to keep going. But it's coming along together really good. Alright guys, so it's the next morning actually. It's been about 14 hours. More than that actually, but it was on temperature for about 14 hours. And I'll get it inside of the light so you can see it, but it definitely finished up. So I'll get it inside, we'll get some light on it, and we'll check it out. So there it is. Looks beautiful, turned out great. Maybe a little bit too dry because I left it on overnight, but I kind of like mine dry and brittle, so that's perfect for me. I got that whole entire bag full, plus another half of a baggie. That was 2 pounds of meat total fresh, and as you can see, it shriveled up. But everything turned out really well. I'm not sure about the video because it got dark on me. I'm not exactly sure how the quality of the video is going to turn out, so you may or may not see it. But as far as the jerky, the only complaint that I have is I didn't do more of it. It's really good. Was definitely a success. I want to do this again, maybe with just buy beef and try the recipe again and do beef jerky. That's pretty much it. Hope you liked the video. Please remember to subscribe, like, leave a comment, and join me on the next one.